And now I'd like to invite up Stephanie Silverman, CEO of ESCA, employee-owned S Corporations of America, to share a few words. Stephanie Silverman. Do you want to come here, there, wherever you'd like to be? I know there's like really, yeah, it's a big step here. You got it? You got it? Okay.
Amazing.
Good job. Is this on?
All right. She sticks the landing.
Let me see if it's...
I really appreciate the invitation to be here, and I understand it's been a phenomenally well-attended summit, and I've been able to get a couple of, I think, really lovely insights and reminders of why ESCA does what we do, which is to advocate for the existence back 25 or so years ago and the sustainability of the private ESOP model, the S Corporation ESOP. It's nice to see our partners here from places like NCEO, which make a huge difference to our ability to do that advocacy. I don't have anything to add to the home care industry's conversation except to say thank you. For those of us who have aging parents and have had them, we know how important that is, and we'd love to see more ESOPs emerge in that sector of the economy, and hopefully we can do more to help that along. I only want to talk today a little bit about why Washington actually even matters to ESOPs. The ESOP structure in 1974 was created here in Washington. It's a creation of statute. And in 1996 and 1997, we created the statutes that allow privately held ESOP ownership through subchapter S companies. It was a strange configuration of a statute, and I was a baby lobbyist at the time. I was 12, and I'm not kidding. I don't think I understood what we were working on at the time, but when you're trying to make your bones and someone says, can you create this structure through a change in the statute, any idiot lobbyist will say, sure, how hard can that be? And so we went and we worked with the Finance Committee and the White House, and through a series of technical changes to tax law, we're able to give rise to the S Corporation ESOP, which has been a really powerful way for private companies to give their employees opportunities that they didn't have before. In Washington, though, you have to have a few things to stay safe and sound. Right? You have to have people who care about you. You have to be a little bit of a sacred cow, right? You have to be not untouchable, but an undesirable touch. So much of that here in Washington right now. You have to know how to craft an argument that resonates with the people in charge and not just the argument that you want to make because you think it's interesting, which is a problem, by the way, that as a member of the employee ownership community, I can tell you we all have this problem. We talk in words that matter to us and very rarely think about how those messages land with people who don't come from this world. And there has to be a subset of people in political power or who are highly influential with politicians who care deeply about this statute, right, about preserving this model. And the problem right now is that that a lot of this is in imbalance, right? First of all, with respect to having friends and allies, we have a new administration. All of us have many thoughts about the new administration. One fact is true. This administration has not given employee ownership much of a thought at all. And that's a problem right now because while people can talk about how enthusiastic a cabinet secretary may or may not be, these are not the people who make the day-to-day policies that change the environment in which our companies operate, live or die, get audited or not, right? Suffer restrictions to their tax structure, create or lose opportunities to sell to an ESOP model or to an ESOP as part of their corporate transition. And so right now there's a vacuum of care for ESOPs in the political environment. That's pretty typical whenever you have a transition from one regime to another. The challenge here is that things are moving at warp speed. So the other reason to care about Washington is nothing that we do is going to keep pace with the freneticness of the political movements that are underfoot. This afternoon, the House and the Senate came to an agreement, if you can call it that. They all kind of hate each other right now, so they agreed that they hate each other. And they agreed that they would work together on this budget framework where both sides will work to find $1.5 trillion, with a T, in offsets. The most money that anybody has ever endeavored to find to offset tax policy, right? I mean, really, I've been doing tax policy since 1986. Those numbers didn't exist then. They haven't existed until now. But they're all going to find $1.5 trillion in available resources and to offset the new tax bill that they want to push forward. And that new tax bill will continue the 2017, right, Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, and all of the policies that are currently in place. And it will create many, I suspect, of the new ideas into statute that President Trump has suggested, like, no tax on tips. I look forward to everyone here claiming that their wages are tips in the future. Or no tax on Social Security, or any of those things. The cost of that is going to be astronomical. So today's agreement is we're going to find $1.5 trillion in new funds, right, that we've never touched before. So it's not like you can just check in your couch cushions for quarters. There have to be really massive, seismic changes to tax policy to arrive at those numbers. And what they really agreed to was that there can't be any budget games, right? That was, the Senate wanted to use a budget trick so that they wouldn't have to raise that much in funding. The House has budget hawks, and they said no. And so the agreement is, no, we're really going to find this money. Where on earth are they going to find $1.5 trillion unless they levy new taxes or take away old, right, benefits, existing benefits? And so for the ESOP community, which does really, in the S corporation sector at least, live or die on the tax incentives that we created, and frankly needs more, right? We need more of that. The challenge is going to be that eventually they're going to run out of stuff that they can, use to raise money, and we're on a list, right, of special tax benefits. So A, you need people who care about you. B, you have to be able to move at the pace that policy is moving. And right now, policy is moving at an insane clip, and it's not moving forward, it's moving side to side. And so I don't know if you saw like this morning's news about tariffs, which was different from this afternoon's news about tariffs, which is really different from yesterday's news about tariffs. But nobody can keep pace with the way that economic policy choices are being made, and therefore it's very hard to see where the ball is. So we have a care vacuum in Washington, mostly in the administration, that we aim to fill. We have a fast-moving policy environment, right? And we have a regulatory complex that has mixed views of employee ownership. Some would argue that it's not well educated, that regulatory complex. The Treasury Department is far more sanguine about employee ownership. The Department of Labor has been a little bit persnickety about employee ownership. As one of the regional officials from DOL explained to me a few weeks back, well, we get calls from unhappy people, and so we go look for bad guys, and nobody ever calls us to say, I have an amazing job at an amazing ESOP company. So that's their point of view, right? So we have different regulatory perspectives, a care vacuum, a fast-moving policy environment. It's really important that we learn to speak to these different interests. And so while I want to thank everybody in this room for caring enough to show up and put your blood, sweat, and tears into the employee ownership model and vision and opportunity, and my own business is employee-owned through an ESOP, and so I really do sit with you. I want to tell you one thing, and one thing only, which is to please stop talking to ourselves, right? We have these conversations all the time. I see a number of you at meetings with regularity. And by the way, I love this community. I mean, you all have made ESOPs what they are today, which are strong and powerful and inspirational. I'm first-generation American. I could never imagine, my mother, my grandparents who came here with nothing in their pockets. I could not imagine being in a place where I could own a business or create a platform where my employees could participate in that and be encouraged to do that through policy. But we tell these stories to ourselves all the time. So I just want to say, I got it. Y'all got it, right? We know what our story is, but it's tenuous. Washington has a tremendously strong history of screwing things up. And we're not about to stop that pattern anytime soon, right? So I'm going to ask you, from the bottom of my heart, it's not that you shouldn't talk to each other. It's just that you need to turn outside and have a conversation with people who matter. Write something in your local paper. Post something online. Schedule a meeting with your member of Congress, right? Find a contact, a kid who was your neighbor's son who happens to have an internship in the White House National Economic Council. It doesn't matter. Have conversations with other people. Because the more we talk to each other, and only each other, the more time we waste trying to protect and defend what we need to keep whole. It's ESCA's vision that more of this needs to happen, not less. And we will continue to do more to protect and also to promote the creation of more employee ownership. But first things first, Washington is in a frenzy. We have a care vacuum. It's moving very, very quickly. And we are a very insular community. We love to hear our own voices, right? It's like my whole family. Everybody loves to hear their voices, and that's a group of voices that don't agree with each other. This is a group of voices that does. So let's stop just agreeing with each other, shall we? Let's find ways to speak to other interests. I want to see more companies do what the companies that have spoken today and yesterday have been able to do successfully, and the only way we get to do that is to be able to speak to those outside of our community. I want to close by saying this. I believe that the community is a really, really important tent, and I know that there are different members of the employee ownership community. There are think tanks, there are advocacy groups, there are business-oriented groups that provide technical services. Let's not be so picky about why this group doesn't look exactly like us or why that group doesn't look exactly like us. All of these groups have some common denominator. So let's find what we agree with and work together, please, because this is a moment that's not going to come again like this for a while. This is going to be the fastest moving, most behind-the-scenes tax policy making process I have seen in my 40-year career in Washington. So one more time, it's time to stop talking to ourselves. Thank you.